Ladies and gentlemen, Mutahi Ngunyi yesterday made some interesting tweet on his official Twitter handle. And if you ask me, that tweet by Mutahi Ngunyi is significant politically speaking. Let me read for you the tweet before I explain why that tweet is significant, because the tweet is going to form the basis of this analysis. This is what Mutahi Ngunyi tweeted. Dear Ruto, he was addressing the President of the Republic of Kenya. Dear Ruto, take time to listen to Kenyans. The ground is hostile. And dishing out development at Uhuru Park will not help you. You are talking to yourself. Period. You are popular abroad with Muzungus. But at home, we are hostile. Take time to listen. Truth report. Now, that is the tweet by Mutahi Ngunyi. And if you ask me, that tweet is significant politically speaking for two main reasons. Number one, Mutahi Ngunyi used to be a close ally of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. As a matter of fact, he was one of the few advisors who were operating from State House, which means Mutahi Ngunyi understands the operations of government. So that's significant. Number two, Mutahi Ngunyi just 1 month ago announced to the country that he had defected from Uhuru Kenyatta's camp to William Samoei Arap Ruto's camp. As a matter of fact, he agreed that he's actually a gun for hire. Why would he then address William Ruto publicly the way he has just done? In this video, I want us to try and figure out the deeper meaning of this tweet by Mutahi Ngunyi. Because for me, this tweet by Mutahi Ngunyi reflects the reality on the ground. Let me just briefly break down what Mutahi Ngunyi is telling Ruto before we conclude. Number one is telling Ruto to listen to Kenyans. Ruto is not listening to Kenyans because William Ruto was elected on the platform of hustler. He made promises to Kenyans that I'm going to reduce the cost of living. I'm going to reduce the cost of, so far in this country today, the cost of petroleum products are at their highest. And Kenyans are complaining, but William Ruto is feeling nothing about it. So that is what he's trying to tell him here. And he's also telling him that the ground is hostile. The truth of the matter is that as we speak, the truth is actually hostile for Kenya Kwanza. And that's why even Rigathi Gachagua, when he came from Colombia, his statement was a bit guided. He was like, do not talk to Kenyans arrogantly. Because basically even Rigathi Gachagua understands the fact that Kenyans are actually hostile. And is adding that dishing out development. When you talk of development, do they really relate with politics? Because if Uhuru Kenyatta did that much to the mountain, but the mountain never recognized, Mutahi Ngunyi is basically telling Ruto that you can develop the country, but that is not politics. Politics is totally a different ballgame. Those development projects in quote will not really count. And is concluding here, talk to yourself. Self-interrogate. Okay, then he's saying you are popular abroad. Of course, this is also very important, that you are popular abroad with Muzungus. What Mutahi Ngunyi is telling Ruto here is that he's actually a stooge, a puppet of the West. The West love it. But what's the value of having Muzungus loving you while at home? That's what he's saying here. But at home, we are hostile. And he's concluding, take time to listen. My conclusion, because I've listened to that tweet, and the message is home. My conclusion is that, number one, Mutahi Ngunyi is yet to be accepted into William Ruto's camp. You know, he was with Uhuru, he announced the defection, but clearly he's yet to be accepted. Otherwise, if Kenya Kwanza government or William Ruto's team had embraced Mutahi Ngunyi, probably the mode of communication would have changed. But if you look at the way he's addressing Ruto is the same Mutahi Ngunyi of before. This is a man who really appreciated Ruto for visiting his village just a few months ago. Is it possible that that time Ruto was listening to Kenyans? Is it that that time probably the country was not hostile to Ruto because it was only a month ago? So that's number one. Mutahi is yet to be accepted into William Ruto's camp, and that's why he's throwing words the way he's doing. Number two, if you ask me, Mutahi Ngunyi is just relaying to William Ruto the feeling on the ground. I remember Mutahi Ngunyi just the other day was telling Kenyans that he told Uhuru and Raila some of these things, they never listened. Of course, we know Mutahi Ngunyi, but the thing is, he has told Ruto that the ground is hostile. I was an advisor to the president. We used to tell him these things, but he used to ignore. Is the ground in Kenya hostile to Kenya Kwanza? I don't know whether to reframe him, to rephrase it. Let me rephrase my statement. And I want to target those who voted for Kenya Kwanza. Are you happy with the direction the country is taking? Because the other day I was reading some opinion polls, and those who voted for Kenya Kwanza, majority of them are actually not happy with the performance of Kenya Kwanza so far. So that actually reflects the reality on the ground. Probably it's compounded by several factors, including the promises that were made. Ruto made so many promises to Kenyans, which definitely there's no way he was going to meet all of them. Some of them could not be met. Number two, the expectations of Kenyans on William Ruto were so high. You know, there are people who voted for Ruto because they believe that the moment Ruto was going to be sworn in, all their problems were going to come to an end, because their source of problems, which was Uhuru Kenyatta or the Kenyatta family for that matter, and Raila Odinga, were no longer there. So these people, their expectations were so high. Now Ruto is the president. They are still the same spot they were. What about employment? If Ruto's campaign was targeting the youths and they won, are youths employed? So the truth is, the reality on the ground is what Mutahi Ngunyi was telling Ruto. So whether Ruto is going to listen to him, I don't care and I don't know. Number three, the third conclusion is that Mutahi Ngunyi is trying to tell Ruto about these foreign trips. And in my view, he's just exposing Ruto as a puppet. And of course, being a puppet of the West means they can still hold you. But the danger is that, and this is what is telling him indirectly, the danger is that a revolution can actually start. Kenyans can actually rebel, because if you look at the history of recent coup in Africa, the Niger, the Burkina Faso coup, they're as a result of this dissatisfaction with the Western powers. France, for example. Is it possible that Ngunyi is just warning Ruto that as much as those guys love you, here, no, and therefore be very careful? That's what I'm trying to get there. And probably my second last point is that maybe Mutahi Ngunyi just wanted to provoke a discussion. He's known for that. And of course, you know, Mutahi Ngunyi was the first person to initiate the hustler narrative. Maybe he just wanted to initiate a debate. He wanted to take an opinion poll. Being a political scientist, he wanted to understand the real thinking of Kenyans on the ground. So by making that post, Kenyans were going to react, and he would be able to really get their thinking and probably thoughts and bring them together for a strategy, which he can then submit to Ruto. Because, you know, if you are employed, like for example, if Raila Odinga or Kalonzo Musyoka were to give me a job of being their strategist, the first thing I'll do is to sit down with them and ask them that, okay, you have given me this job, I'll do it, but we want to be honest. You must allow me to work independently in a manner I know, whether you like the strategy or not. But my point is, I'm going to start working for you, but I want to begin from the truth. Are you popular or not? So you pose questions, you get answers, you analyze the data, come up with a strategy. Maybe that's what Mutahi Ngunyi is doing for Ruto. And of course, in general, I think this cost of living, compounded by the high cost of fuel and taxes, are issues which Kenyans are talking about. But is William Ruto listening? According to Mutahi Ngunyi, he's not listening. And can those bring his downfall? Of course, yes. I don't know what you think, but for me, that tweet by Mutahi Ngunyi is significant. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.